In this tutorial, we will learn exception handling. We will understand what is the use of exception handling and how to use it. So let's get started. Exception handling is used to write error-free program. Exception handling is a mechanism which comes about to deal with error in control fashion. When you want to save your program from unwanted error messages and convert that error messages into a native language, then the error handling will help you out. In JavaScript, we have try and catch block to handle JavaScript errors. The syntax of try and catch block is this. So here I will just start my try block. So I will say try, and in the curly braces, here is your statements, and just after that I will create catch block with parenthesis, right? So this parenthesis will take argument, right? And then specify curly braces and the statements. In this syntax, we had created two blocks. First is try block and second is catch block. The first try block will always execute. You are free to specify only one statement or multiple statement in the try block, right? The catch block will only execute when any exception, or you can say errors, occurs. It means when you execute your program, the try block will first execute, and then if the try block throw any error, then the catch block will execute and perform statements in the catch block. For example, if I just say try, and in the try block I will just say console.log and specify a simple message. So I will say try block, and in the catch block I will specify my parameter. So I will say here e, right? So this is my parameter, and just wanted to print this parameter and our message on the console. So I will say console.log catch block error and specify your parameter here. So when you execute this statement will not execute catch block because the try block will not throw any error. If we create an error in the try block, then let's see what will happen. So if I just create a variable here which is not defined, then let's see what will happen. So if I just say here variable and specify semicolon, so this variable is not defined, and when I execute this, the catch block will execute and print user defined error message on the console. You can specify any message in the catch block to determine your error message. Now, the few things you need to note before you use try catch exception handling. Your code must be a valid JavaScript code because try and catch block work for runtime error. Suppose you had specified closing square bracket here. So if I just specify here a closing square bracket, then the catch block will not execute because this is not a runtime error. Now you know that this is not a valid JavaScript code. So you will get an error message before we compile it. Now, if you wanted to describe your error message more profoundly, then you can use error object also. For example, so if I just specify a parameter here, so I will just say err. You can specify any parameter name for the catch method, and here I just wanted to describe my error message using error object properties. So I will just say console.log err.message. I will just copy this statement and print here, and just remove the message property and call name property here, and I will just paste it again and call stack property here, right? You can specify other name also to the error object. So here we had specified three properties of error object: name property, which return a name of the error; message property, which returns only an error message; and stack property will return current call stack, right? Now suppose we wanted to execute a few statements after the catch block execute. In that situation, we have finally block also. The finally block will always execute. So let's see how it's work. So I will just create a finally block here just after the catch block. So I will say finally, and in the curly braces I will specify console.log finally execute. So when you execute this, you will see the finally block executed just after the error messages. So whenever you wanted to execute any statement after the error message, you can use finally block also. That's it. I hope you understand this lecture.